So I'm gonna be messing around with this creature layer here, and it's something we used in the last sketch. I'm gonna try to play around with turning on and off some effects inside of it, and I've got the effects chain also from the last sketch and a little rendering that I did in 3D Studio Max being moved around a little bit, rotate a little bit in Resolume. So I'm going to try to see if we can make a little slow, minimal type of piece that will fit with the video. Cool. So let's try this here. Go ahead and throttle us and see what we got going on here. Well, pushing the top there. The challenge for today: can we make something that sounds interesting and meaningful, considering that we're using most of the CPU at our disposal? We can also try to turn off some of these vocoders. Like, I'm not even sure if some of these are actually doing much. I know the vocoder does take a bit of juice. Actually, let's do a drum rack. I've been having fun with these lately. And we actually copy over. I saw a simpler here. And let's pull in, just in case, this digital sign. Looks like C0 here. I like the kind of broccoli textures in the background, that skittery, scuttery little creatures. Let's go back to classic here. So we've got our and drop the transpose. We got a little snap right on the intro of that. Make a little bit of a kick there. Let's pull out some overtones with this overdrive. Cool. I'm going to pull this reverb out here after I group this stuff. Put the reverb in here. Actually, very slow ambient techno. Super minimal. Let's copy that. Well, it didn't exactly do what I wanted, so let's drag and hold down the control. We can make a dupe. And for this one, let's just try boosting up the transpose. Definitely a fun little creature here. Let's try this grain delay on there. I like this overdrive. It gives it a little bit of body. Let's try just a little overdrive on the high end there. See what happens. A nice modulation. We will call this bass cicada. It kind of sounds like an insect. Now, I have this idea. Use a delay inside of this wet and dry. And we'll make the delay 6 beats. That's a nice little echo. All this tonal echo. And we could map this delay here still feel like it sounds a little too much like the atypical resonator type of sound. Some kind of I'm almost hearing like a woodblock clav kind of, which is really easy to do with a filter. So let's try to maybe play with this overdrive in hopes to get something interesting. Right, now let's set up this lane. And thank goodness we discovered the cause for that crash. Otherwise, I probably would be continuing to fumble around with that, and crashing in the middle of these videos is just such a pain. Not my favorite thing on the planet. Nobody likes to crash. But it happens. I think you know that you have hit some decent point of becoming a mature artist when you can handle losing a song. It's like losing a child almost. Or, you know, crashing and not getting too bent out of shape over it, because it isn't really a thing that happens, and I do believe this. The sooner we can just get used to it and move on with our life, the better. Easier said than done. There are some days that I will get maybe want to yell at my screen, curse Ableton, you know, fist raised high. I think for this one, instead of dragging it, I want to get more of a solid shape thing going on here. So we've got some solid shape jumps. Sounding very pipe-like. Now, let's go ahead and modulate this also. And the modulation will make... I guess I want to... Make it dive down to -5, and then we'll have a dive up period. Pull that one off grid there a little bit. Go ahead and get my little tool going here. All right. Kind of almost like what happened here. I accidentally hit one of my hotkeys and it stretched out our loop so that it's a little more spread out. Let's try a little something more in here. I'm thinking maybe, can we do a noise type of sound? Taking a sine wave and making a white noise is, I'm sure it's doable, but I haven't really tried this one yet. Maybe an LFO set to random all the way up. And let's turn our filter on. Definitely doesn't sound like a noise. I think we're gonna need, well, we could try playing with some of these a little bit. Sounds like a squealing tire in the background, just like the most... We're at the tea kettle. Somebody get the tea. The erosion always adds some noise. It's not my favorite noise type. I think the analog instrument has a really good sounding, smooth sounding noise. I think if this LFO was allowed to go any higher than 30 hertz, we would definitely... try pulling the sample transpose way down. But I think our filter is actually cutting off a lot of that. Like a surly bee. We could make a really crazy tight, let's pull that off the, unlink it, and we could make this really short. Not short enough. Maybe pull this in even more. Let's just try duplicating different sections. Maybe pull it in even more. And let's copy that and try to put it on this one here too. Might just garble the sound so much that it sort of turns noisy. Okay, we've got that, we've got that. Let's try length. It's almost a noise. It's kind of tonal a little bit. Very crusty. Let's see what happens when we turn this off. Let's duplicate it. And maybe we only want this noise thing happening once every 4 measures. All right, let's try a tone somewhere, some way, somehow. Pull this digital sign over onto this layer. I'm using digital signs because the simpler with this tiny little, basically we made our own little sine wave loop in here, is super CPU efficient. Obviously, there's only so much you can do with the simpler versus the operator. You don't have as much FM, really, maybe any FM stuff. But so much you can do, as you've seen throughout the sketches we've done so far. There's so much to do, or that can be done with. We need some more voices to kind of let the tails overlap. I do like running sines through the resonator. You don't get as much of the obvious resonator effect sound. And if we slowly modulate these over a long period of time, just up a couple steps, down a couple steps, we'll get some really nice warbly variations. Let's go ahead and do all of these. I guess I meant to modulate that last one, but well, same difference sometimes. I do like some minimal music. It's not easy to make. It seems like it would be, but honestly, I do want to modulate this a little bit, this frequency. Just down a little bit. We can tune it with the... I love tuning filters. Okay. And let's hear what a little detuning of this. Just a subtle detuning. Microtones. And let's try a flanger on there. Very slow rate. Got ourselves a overtone or undertone. I like that. Let's go ahead and modulate some of that. A pretty nice drone. Some gorgeous little overtones in there. Again, if we set our quantize to like 1/502 and snap to that, we don't get the crashes like we were seeing before when we record. Well, I guess I didn't do exactly what I wanted to because I had set up the modulation lane, not the automation one. Brain is a little slow today. Cool, that's looking good. Let's go ahead and trim those down. I want to hear a -7. oddly soothing. Kind of like the sound of that. So maybe we duplicate some of that back and forth. That. We could even let us get our tool synced up here. Okay, cool. It almost, to me, feels like the beat is a little heavy-handed in some way. I'm going to just try pitching it down 2 octaves and maybe add more attack to this bass. But some might disagree that, you know, the beat might be a fun little thing for some. I'm always just thinking in terms of what I like here. Creature definitely needs a bit of a panning, so let's go ahead and add an auto pan to that. Let's pull this sound here from the vocoder. Let's add this digital sign layer. I like some of the little bends in there. Let's go ahead and add this to our favorites here. I need to use these more. It's a great feature they added in Ableton 10. Okay, let's try an octave down. Cool. I'm not really hearing this tone too much through the vocoder. Maybe we need to play around with the volume levels of it a little bit. Go ahead and get rid of, whoops, wrong thing. Delete that. Noise. Gotta turn this one down, I think. Our clav. Gonna also add a tremolo in there. Fade this grain delay in and out. And that way we get a sort of variety there instead of just the same tone kind of lasting the whole of a long period. It takes a lot of finagling to get a series of clips working together so that things don't get too boring or old, you know, too repetitive. I guess it all depends on your tolerance for repetition. Me, myself, honestly, I prefer something that has a bit more variety and movement and evolution. I do really appreciate this, you know, modular kind of way of composing where it's a patch-based composition where you create a patch that has enough interesting movement and randomness and generativeness that it can last for, you know, 6 minutes, 8 minutes, 9 minutes, and be interesting for that period. You'll hear odd sounds, you know, throughout that you didn't hear in the beginning. And I guess it's also up to the modular synthesis to move enough knobs and change enough things along the way to actually interact with it to create a song. There's different levels of how much do you want to actually be interacting to make the song your own. I think it's just as authentic if you set up a bunch of effects and instruments and they all kind of play together and can be interesting from start to finish, and all you have to do is push play on everything. It's the push play walk away method is what I like to call that. That's just as authentic as if you were to have a bunch of instruments and you're playing a lot more stuff kind of along the way. I mean, that's, in some ways that's harder. You have to be better at and faster and more nimble, especially if you're actually playing on a keyboard and whatnot, but I like this. It's kind of slightly industrial, slightly, you know, got a lot of weird little sounds going on. I think we don't want this wet and dry to be down that long. Very mellow, very, some would say boring. It's not a party track. This is what I consider the post-party track. You've gone out to the club, you've spent all your energy, you're back in the living room with a couple of friends, and you need them to just pass out or go home so you can get on with your life. So you put on something like this, and it just chills everyone the hell out. see, what are we doing on time here? 55. Well, you know, considering we already had a starting point, that's not too bad. Might need to modulate that clav a little bit. Go ahead and do that before I forget. I wanted to play around with the attack. Let's make a resolution finer there and add more length. Cool. Maybe we'll pull the volume of this down a little bit also. Very sleepy music, but honestly we need music to chill us out, to help us sleep. I personally cannot sleep with any music. It has to be just straight white noise from a fan, or I have a little live set that I've created with a rack that I made. And that helps me sleep, just because I'm so used to listening to things. It really is tough to not listen. So any kind of music, I'm gonna be, you know, if I do fall asleep, I'll wake up and my brain will just lock onto it. And it's kind of a curse, blessing and a curse, being an artist, that where your thing is, you know, you have to listen to stuff like really intently. I think we lost our clav just a little bit with this move. So yeah, maybe if I play with this, it'll decay a little bit. Or just go in here and drop some more of it down to 0. Because obviously if it's not 0, we're not really hearing clav. Well, it sounds like a bit of a party starting to happen there. Too much movement. I'm gonna try something. I want to move this here. All right, that's cool. So I'm gonna start keeping some of our racks in a folder. Be for future reference. Bouncy baller. We need to get C4 going. 4. Who doesn't love a good bouncy ball effect, eh? Okay, so set this one up here. Let's give ourselves a little more. Actually, I'm gonna manually drag this to give ourselves a lot of more. let's go ahead and turn this filter on. Clean this up a little bit. I want this one to just start on. Very juicy sounding coming out of these clicks. Bouncy clicks. And can I pull something from here over to here? That's beautiful. This audio. Wish I would have been doing this from the beginning, and maybe I'll go back through all of these sketches and try to pull out some things that we can reuse down the road. I know one thing that I use a lot that I really need to put in there. Well, let's see, audio effect rack. Dry, wet, rack. I'll call this empty rack. And I wonder if it'll let us drag. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know you could do that. Well, that is very useful. So, audio. And we will put this grain delay in here. It's good to do a little maintenance, I think. Grain delay, clean, wet, dry. Sucks that we've got to nest it in there like this, but it's just the way it goes. I presume at some point this racks folder will be super full. And I know one MIDI effect that super useful. It's kind of kludgy. Well, there's just a lot of, you know, a lot of chains inside of there, one for each note. So obviously you can go in and delete whichever ones you're not using. MIDI. Note probability gate. Yep, very useful one right there. Awesome. And I feel like in the very first sketch we had, yeah, side effects. I kind of want to pull that in. It may be too much juice for this project, but we'll see. We'll see, we'll see. Let's pull from the group here. I wish we could... Well, for this case, let's go ahead and turn up the juice. Cool. Although we could save, you know, this nasterizer. In fact, we might as well. But there's probably some automation in there that won't get saved. Unfortunately, that's just, you know, the only way to pull in the automation is to drag it in from another project. You know, which isn't a huge deal, but... Cool. Well, let's go ahead and delete these and call it a day. Very mellow piece. It's a Sunday afternoon here, so we're in a super mellow mood here. I think when throughout the week I'll make a few more higher energy, beat-oriented ones. I can't find myself repeating things, the ideas or energy levels, and from one sketch to the next too much, but it is it does take a certain amount of energy, a certain type of energy, to do some more fast-paced and wilder type of those IDM-ish sketches versus this ambient stuff, which is, you know, a little more easy, I think, a little more laid back, a little calmer. So anyway, hope you all enjoyed. I'm just gonna let this play out for a minute without talking, and then see you next time.